The sky of Earth was no longer blue, it was pale, with dust storms and rising heat waves. Oceans had receded, leaving cracked lands behind. Cities were covered with giant domes to protect the last remaining human population. Survival was becoming a struggle, and yet hope was alive in the hearts of a few who dreamed of the stars. One such dream had taken shape in the form of Arunika, the most advanced interstellar ship humanity had ever created. It was not just a vessel, it was a moving city, powered by antimatter engines wrapped in layers of nanocarbon armor and guided by an artificial intelligence named Iris. Arunika was designed to cross distances that once seemed impossible to humans, and its purpose was clear: to seek a new home for mankind among the endless stars. At the central launch base in the deserts of what once was Nevada, thousands had gathered to watch the giant vessel rise into the sky. The ground trembled as its engines hummed like the heartbeat of a giant. Within the control deck, Captain Sarah Morgan stood, silently watching the crew take their positions. Her eyes reflected determination. She was young, but carried the weight of humanity's future on her shoulders. Beside her, Commander Jack Reeves tightened his gloves, his face sharp and proud. He was a soldier of strict discipline, one who believed strength and control were the only way forward. Dr. Michael Carter, the chief scientist, was lost in his tablet, eyes glowing with excitement. To him, this mission was not only about survival, but discovery and truth. Behind him, Emily Parker, the communication officer, adjusted her headset. She was calm, empathetic, and always the bridge between conflict and peace. The crew was a mirror of human diversity, each carrying not only their expertise, but also their hopes, fears, and secrets. When the countdown began, silence spread across the desert, as if the world itself was holding its breath. 10, 9, 8. The engines glowed brighter. 7, 6, 5. Sarah closed her eyes, whispering a promise to Earth. 4, 3, 2. Jack stood stiff like a statue. 1. Liftoff. Arunika roared into the sky, tearing through clouds, leaving behind a burning trail. The crowd cheered, some cried, others prayed, and within moments the ship pierced the atmosphere, leaving Earth behind and entering the black sea of the universe. Inside the vessel, weightlessness gave way to smooth gravity simulation. Iris, the AI, greeted the crew with a calm voice. "Welcome aboard, Captain. Welcome to the beginning of our journey." Stars stretched around them like diamonds, scattered on an infinite canvas. The crew looked out from the observation dome, awe filling their hearts. Earth was already a small dot, fading behind them. Michael whispered softly, "It begins, the search for new worlds." Sarah placed her hand on the console and said, "We are not just leaving Earth, we are carrying it with us in every heartbeat, in every step beyond the stars." The journey had begun. Arunika was no longer a dream. It was the ark of humanity sailing toward the unknown, and with it began the story of hope, conflict, discovery, and destiny that awaited among the galaxies. The stars stretched endlessly around Arunika as it cut through the darkness, with its warp engines bending space like ripples on a silent ocean. The crew had settled into their routines, but the silence of space was not the silence of peace. It was the silence of waiting, of uncertainty. Captain Sarah Morgan stood at the observation deck, her reflection faint against the glass, her eyes locked on the distant glow of a nebula beyond the Orion belt. Commander Jack Reeves approached, his boots heavy against the steel floor. He said quietly, "We are moving into uncharted territory, Captain, and I do not like blind steps." Sarah answered without turning her voice, calm and steady. "Every step into the unknown is a blind step, Jack. That is why we are here." Jack gave a short, bitter laugh. "And what if there is something out there waiting for us? Something that does not want us here?" Down in the science lab, Dr. Michael Carter leaned over a cluster of glowing screens, his fingers flying across the console. Emily Parker watched him with curiosity, her voice soft. "You have barely slept since we launched." Michael smiled, tired but excited. "Sleep can wait, Emily. If this data is correct, we are picking up traces of organic particles near the Zorath sector." Emily raised a brow. "Already?" Michael nodded sharply. "Already. It means there is life out there. Maybe simple, maybe complex, but life nonetheless." The ship suddenly trembled. Lights flickered. Iris, the AI, spoke, her voice calm but urgent. Warning: approaching gravitational anomaly. Dark matter storm ahead. Evasive maneuvers required. Ethan Cole, the pilot, tightened his grip on the controls, his jaw rigid. This is going to be rough. Arunika shuddered as waves of invisible energy slammed against its hull. Sparks danced across the bridge. The hum of the engines turned into a roar. Ethan forced the vessel through the turbulence, his hands steady. Sarah called out, "Hold her steady, Ethan. We are not losing this ship." Jack barked orders. "Shield reinforcements, now. Emily, reroute power." Michael clutched the edge of the table, his eyes wide. This storm is tearing space apart. The ship groaned like a wounded beast. Panels cracked. The lights dimmed. Iris continued, "Warp integrity at 60%. Danger level critical." Ethan shouted back, "I need more power or we will be ripped apart." Sarah gritted her teeth, her voice cutting through the chaos. "Do it." Emily Parker slammed her palm against the console, diverting life support power into the shields. The crew gasped as the oxygen levels dropped slightly, but the shields flared bright blue, absorbing the invisible waves. Then, suddenly, silence. The storm passed. Arunika drifted into calm space once more. The crew sat in silence, their hearts pounding. Only the faint hum of the engines remained. Sarah exhaled slowly, her voice soft but strong. "We survived." Jack leaned forward, his voice sharp. "But at what cost? Next time we may not." Emily wiped sweat from her brow. "The ship is holding, but we cannot take another storm like that." Michael was already typing, scanning the nearby space. He looked up, eyes shining. "There is something beyond the storm, Captain. I think it is pulling us towards Zorath 9. Sarah turned her gaze forward beyond the stars, her voice firm. "Then that is where we go." In the silence of space, their journey had changed. Arunika was no longer just traveling. It was being tested, and each soul aboard was being tested with it. They had stepped into the void, and the void had whispered its warning. The storm had left scars on the vessel, but Arunika pushed forward, carried by the will of its crew and the hunger of humanity for a second chance. 17 days had passed since the launch when Iris broke the silence of the bridge with a message, her voice calm and steady. Destination reached. Visual contact with planetary body Zorath 9. The crew gathered at the observation dome as the planet filled their view. It was unlike anything they had imagined. Half of its surface glowed with a shimmering ocean of crystal that reflected the starlight like liquid glass. Vast mountain ranges of violet stone rose like jagged teeth piercing the skies, and forests of silver-leafed trees stretched across valleys glimmering faintly as though carrying light within themselves. The atmosphere glowed faint blue with streaks of emerald lightning crawling across its upper layers. Captain Sarah Morgan whispered softly, "It is beautiful. More beautiful than I dreamed." Michael Carter pressed his face close to the glass, his eyes wide. "That glow is bioluminescence. The planet itself is alive." Emily Parker adjusted her headset, scanning signals. "I am picking up frequencies. Strange, not mechanical. More like songs, vibrations." Jack Reeves crossed his arms, his voice sharp. "Songs or warnings. Either way, we cannot trust them." The descent was tense. Arunika pierced the atmosphere, fire dancing around its hull until the flames gave way to a world painted in impossible colors. Rivers of liquid silver cut through the plains, their surfaces alive with ripples that reflected the sky. Enormous creatures with translucent wings glided above the forests, their bodies glowing like lanterns in the dark. Ethan Cole guided the vessel to a wide plateau near the Crystal Sea. Landing struts extended with a heavy thud as the ship kissed alien soil. For a moment, the crew sat in silence, staring out through the windows at a world untouched by human hands. Sarah rose first, her voice calm but commanding. "We came here to discover. Let us take our first step together." She led the way through the airlock as the doors opened and a rush of alien air filled the chamber. It smelled sharp, metallic, yet strangely sweet, breathable, according to Iris. Their boots touched the surface of Zorath 9. The ground was firm, yet glittered as though tiny crystals were embedded in every grain of soil. The sky above shimmered with two suns, one pale gold and the other deep orange, casting twin shadows behind them. Michael knelt down, running his fingers across a patch of glowing moss. Incredible. This moss reacts to touch. It is generating light. Emily looked around awestruck, recording everything on her scanner. I can feel vibrations in the ground, like the planet itself is humming. Jack kept his rifle close, his eyes scanning the horizon, his voice low. Stay sharp. We are not here alone. From the edge of the silver forest, movement stirred, shapes shifting between the trees, then slowly emerging into the open. The crew saw them for the first time. Creatures like flowing jelly, translucent with cores of glowing blue light. They floated slightly above the ground, moving as though in water, their forms reshaping fluidly. One of them extended a limb, glowing softly as though reaching out. Sarah stepped forward, her voice calm, steady. We are not enemies. We come in peace, Michael whispered in awe. They are alive, intelligent, maybe more than we are. The jelly-like beings pulsed with light patterns, flashing across their bodies. Emily gasped. It is language, Captain. Sarah raised her hand, gently, mimicking their rhythm. Iris translated softly. Signal identified. Communication attempt in progress. Jack muttered darkly, or a trap. Sarah ignored him, her eyes fixed on the glowing beings. This is first contact. In that moment, beneath two suns, on a world of crystal seas and silver forests, humanity stood face to face with life beyond Earth for the first time. Not as conquerors, but as strangers, reaching for understanding. And though the air was filled with silence, it was a silence heavy with possibility and fear. The beings of Zorath Nine pulsed with waves of blue and violet light, their bodies shifting like liquid glass, their movements slow, graceful, deliberate. The crew of Arunika stood frozen, each heartbeat echoing in the silence. Sarah Morgan raised her hand again, copying the rhythm of the closest figure. Her motions, simple, cautious. The being shimmered brighter, and the others responded, their lights flickering in unison. Michael Carter whispered, "They are speaking in frequencies, in patterns. This is not random. This is structured language." Emily Parker adjusted her headset, recording every flicker, every tone, her voice trembling. "Captain, this is communication at the purest level." Jack Reeves kept his rifle steady, his jaw tight. And what if it is not communication? What if it is strategy? Suddenly Iris spoke, her voice calm but resonant. Translation achieved. Approximate message detected. "Welcome, travelers. You are not the first, and you may not be the last." The crew exchanged stunned glances. Sarah stepped forward, her voice steady. "We come in peace. We seek knowledge and understanding of your world." The being pulsed again. Iris translated, "Your kind has come before. They brought fire. They brought hunger. They did not listen. They did not stay." Sarah frowned, confusion flashing in her eyes. "That is not possible. Humanity has never been here before." Michael shook his head. "Maybe not humanity. Maybe something else." The aliens shifted, forming a circle around the crew, their lights growing faster, brighter. Emily whispered, "They are showing caution. Maybe testing us." Michael raised his scanner. "No electromagnetic weapons, no visible armor. They are vulnerable," Jack muttered, "or they are hiding their strength." Then the ground trembled, a low hum rolling through the soil. The jelly-like beings froze, their lights darkening for a moment, then reigniting in deep red. Iris translated, "Danger approaches. Not us, but this world itself. Zorath Nine is not safe." Sarah stepped closer. "Urgent. What danger? What do you mean?" The beings pulsed again. Iris translated, "The storm follows you. It consumes all that touches the sky." At that moment, the horizon cracked with a violent flash, emerald lightning tearing across the twin suns. The air thickened, a wave of pressure slamming through the valley. Arunika shuddered on its landing struts, alarms echoing across the ship. Ethan Cole shouted from the comlink, "Captain, the storm. It is building again, and it is bigger." The beings turned their lights, frantic, urgent, their message flashing in blinding rhythm. "Leave. Leave now or be taken." The crew staggered as the pressure built. Michael shouted, "Sarah, we cannot just leave. This planet is alive. It has knowledge we have never seen." Sarah gritted her teeth, torn between duty and discovery. Jack raised his weapon and growled, "Enough. This is a trap. They are leading us into the storm." Sarah turned on him, fury in her eyes. "Lower your weapon, Commander. That is an order." Jack sneered. "They are not friends, Captain. They are threats. One wrong move and they will end us first." The beings flared their lights in chaotic patterns, their bodies rippling with energy. Emily cried out, "They are reacting to his weapon! Put it down!" Sarah stepped between Jack and the aliens. her voice sharp. "Stand down now!" The ground split nearby, a crack glowing with blue fire as the storm raged closer. For the first time since they left Earth, the crew was divided, standing on alien soil, caught between trust and fear, between wonder and survival. And as the sky ripped open above them, Zorath Nine itself seemed to demand an answer. The storm rose like a living wall across the horizon, green lightning tearing the sky apart. The ground shook under their feet, and the crystal sea rippled with violent waves. The beings of Zorath Nine pulsed in frantic red, their light patterns sharp, urgent. Iris translated, "Leave now or be unmade, Captain." Sarah Morgan stood frozen, torn between fear and duty, between the will to protect her crew and the hunger to discover the truth. Commander Jack Reeves raised his rifle, his voice hard and cold. "I warned you, Captain. They are a threat. This storm, this warning, all of it is a trick. We must act first. Strike before they do." Michael Carter spun on him, his face furious. "You fool! They are saving us! They are trying to protect us!" Jack sneered. "Protect us or herd us into the storm?" His finger hovered over the trigger. Sarah stepped between them, her voice ablade. "Jack, lower your weapon, now." He shook his head, defiance burning in his eyes. Humanity survives by strength, not by faith. Sarah, his rifle lifted toward the nearest being, its body glowing bright in alarm. Sarah moved fast, faster than thought. Her hand shoved the barrel aside. The shot fired into the ground. Crystals shattered. Sparks flew. The beings exploded in blinding light, their forms vibrating with fury. The air itself hummed with their voices. Iris translated, "Betrayal." The circle closed around them, their glow overwhelming. Red, violet, blue, their bodies trembling with power. Michael shouted, "Sarah, do something before it is too late." Emily cried, "They are losing trust. We have seconds, not minutes." The storm roared closer, tearing the mountains like paper, the sky bleeding fire. Sarah raised her hands high, her voice breaking through the chaos. "Stop! We are not here to harm. We are not here to take. We are here to learn. Forgive him. Forgive us." For a long moment, there was only silence. The storm screamed above them, but within the circle of light, there was calm. One of the beings pulsed, soft blue, the violent rhythm slowing. Iris spoke softly. "Message received. Forgiveness offered. But choice remains. Leave now or face the storm together." Sarah lowered her arms, her decision clear. She turned to Jack, her voice low but sharp. "You have endangered this mission. You no longer speak for humanity." She faced the beings, her voice steady. "We will leave. We will honor your warning. But one day we will return, not with weapons, not with fear, but with open hands." The being shimmered, brighter blue, fading into white. Then one by one the others dissolved into the forest like mist in sunlight. The crew rushed back into Arunika, the storm hammering the plateau. Ethan Cole powered the engines, his hands steady, though his jaw trembled. Iris calculated trajectory. Escape possible at 80%. Risk. Sarah took her seat, eyes fixed on the window. "Do it, Ethan! Take us out!" Arunika roared against the storm, engines screaming, shields sparking, lightning clawing at its hull. And with a final burst of power, it broke free, soaring into the upper atmosphere and back into the safety of space. Silence filled the ship, only the hum of the engines and the ragged breaths of its crew. Sarah spoke into the captain log, her voice quiet but resolute. "Zorath Nine is alive. It carries wonders we cannot yet understand, and dangers we are not ready to face. We came searching for a new home, but what we found was a lesson. Not every horizon is ours to claim. Sometimes survival means respect. Sometimes strength is knowing when to walk away." Jack Reeves sat in silence, his eyes dark. Michael Carter stared at the stars, his heart still burning with questions. Emily Parker closed her headset, her lips trembling with relief. Sarah looked out at the fading glow of Zorath Nine, a jewel in the Black Sea, and whispered, "Humanity is not alone, and the future is waiting." Arunika turned its bow toward the endless stars, leaving behind a world of crystal seas and living light, carrying with it not conquest, but memory, not victory, but hope.